TV. Labor negotiations between UPS and 330,000 workers represented by the Teamsters union have stalled with just over 3 weeks until the contract with the largest private union in the United States expires. The clock is ticking on preventing a major strike on the 1st of August. Bloomberg's Kriti Gupta is here to walk us through what's at stake. Kriti?
Yeah, Joe, a lot is at stake, to put it simply. This isn't just about UPS alone. This is about the entire shipping capacity that you are seeing from a lot of the major players. I'll give you an example here. UPS, for example, their biggest customer is actually Amazon Logistics, a network that they actively compete with. But any kind of spillover that Amazon Logistics has goes straight to UPS. And the situation could get so dire that even FedEx has come out and said, look, they are accepting higher volume in anticipation of this potential strike, but no one courier can really take over the about a quarter market share that UPS has to kind of hold on this market. This, of course, comes amid a very big background of these lower parcel volumes. At the core of the discussions between UPS and the labor union Teamsters is simply the idea that UPS and other carriers are still raking in a lot of money, and a function of that is simply raising prices despite the decline you are seeing in parcel volume overall. And although that is a positive from a market perspective, it's not necessarily a positive from the labor perspective. Now, a big question here is what comes next, given that some of the negotiations have collapsed. And a big part of that is what role the White House is going to play. Kaylee, Joe, I'm having a little bit of deja vu from the rail strikes last autumn. Simply this idea that at the end of the day, the White House did have to intervene. Marty Walsh, you also have a similar story with the LA port negotiations. Earlier, we asked Acting Labor Secretary Julie Su what an agreement might look like. Take a listen to what she had to say.
I will say the same thing that I said when I was out the ports talking to the parties. A fair contract is one that the members are going to ratify. So a fair contract is something that that workers choose at the end of the day. And again, that process is important for the parties to be able to negotiate, to be able to stay at the bargaining table, and to be able to resolve issues. And I do believe, and as has been shown time and time again, there are win-win solutions there.
A fair contract is something the workers choose at the end of the day. Those are the words of Acting Labor Secretary Julie Su. I think what's significant here is the negotiations that have already taken place. Some progress has indeed been made on simply the idea that a two-tier system when it comes to wages was kind of knocked down here. Of course, not fully agreed to, given that the negotiations have collapsed, but this is important when we talk about wages. For example, a full-time employee at UPS makes about $39 an hour. A part-time employee makes about $5 less. What's also important is health and safety was coming up. This is going to be a common theme among labor conversations across the country, across industries. But working conditions like air conditioning and trucking, for example, or simply how many days you get off. But again, at the core of it comes, are these workers being paid in line with the profits that UPS is making?
Bloomberg's Kriti Gupta joining us from World Headquarters in New York. We thank you for the reporting, Kriti. Let's get more perspective now on the UPS negotiations from the union's perspective. Joining us here at the table, Sean OBrien, General President of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. Sean, it's great to have you here. Thank you for joining us at what appears to be a critical moment. You tweeted, or the Teamsters tweeted at least, at about 4:30 in the morning on Wednesday. After marathon sessions, UPS negotiations collapsed. You're right, around 4 a.m., UPS walked away from the bargaining table after presenting an unacceptable offer to the Teamsters that did not address members' needs. UPS spoke with Bloomberg about this and says, we have not walked away, and the union has a responsibility to remain at the table. When will you talk next?
Whenever they pick up the phone and call us. I mean, their story is compelling but highly inaccurate. We were talking about economics, and we did make a lot of progress on a lot of those issues that were talked about earlier. But when it came down to part-timers, I'll tell you what. If they're saying that part-timers make $5 less than $39 an hour, I'll sign that deal right now. That's not true. Our average part-timer is making starting wage rates about $16.50 per hour. You've got people living in poverty. Those are poverty wages. A lot of members in the big cities that work 2 or 3 jobs, especially the part-timers, are on subsidized housing, food stamps. So it's up to UPS to make this right, and they should tell the real story.
Okay, so you said you would sign a deal at $5 less per hour. Is that your bare minimum? What's the line here for
Well, if they were going to pay $35 an hour for a part-timer, I definitely would do that. That's what they're saying. That's not the truth. I mean, they do provide great benefits, but they provide them only because we mandate them. We've fought decades upon decades to negotiate superior conditions in these industries, and now it's time. I mean, look, think about the pandemic. You know, you see a UPS driver, the men and women that deliver in your neighborhoods, everybody loves them. But the unsung heroes are the ones that load those trucks, that went to work, and UPS had record profits, $100 billion.
Is that number that you're talking about what they're proposing? Because when UPS spoke with Bloomberg, they've said they've been very generous to part-time workers, paying them $20 an hour plus benefits. Is that a poverty wage? Is that not the number that they're paying out?
They're paying what they call a market rate adjustment in certain areas, where they're paying people off the street that have never worked there just to attract them into employment, and not rewarding the people that have been there a long time. There's still people stuck at 16, 17.
While they're hiring new people at 20.
Right, exactly.
Is this the primary sticking point, then, the wages for part-time workers? Are there other issues of contention you've struggled to come to the middle?
There's other issues that need to be addressed. I mean, the full-timers, they make a great wage. UPS is out there telling people, well, they make $93,000 a year. But they're not telling you they have to work 60 or 65 hours a week to make that wage. So there's a lot of issues, but at the end of the day, we've got the majority of the negotiations have been completed. It's strictly down to economics. They know what we want. They know what we need. They know what our members deserve. And everybody keeps asking us, are you going to strike UPS? We're not going to strike UPS. UPS is going to strike themselves. They're going to self-inflict this wound if they don't reward the people that have made them a tremendous success.
We understand the Biden administration has been in touch with both sides, at least to some extent. When I spoke earlier with the acting labor secretary today, I asked her if she was going to be mediating the talks. She said no. Will you make that request if it comes down to it?
I certainly will not make that request. I believe that, you know, the company is aware of what we need. Look, our neighborhoods that we grew up in Boston, if two people had an altercation, you had nothing to do with it, you keep on walking by, and that's the approach we're taking right now.
Well, I guess it becomes a question of how close to the line ultimately this gets. Obviously, there is a deadline looming. If come August 1st there is a strike, is Teamsters not fearful of the potential economic repercussions of that? Couldn't that come back to hurt the very same workers that you were trying to get a better deal for?
Look, in 1997, UPS took the same position with the part-timers, and the Teamsters struck them nationwide.
For 15 days?
15 days. And look, like anything else, every time there's a situation like a strike, there's, you know, short-term pain for a long-term gain. UPS is the best in the business. The customers pay for a service. Our Teamster members provide the best service. We know there's going to be a little bit of pain in the beginning, but UPS is good at recovering and recouping that volume, and we're confident. We have to take a stand now. We have to.
Do you have this mapped out in your head, the path to a deal here? And I ask you that remembering the railroad strike that Creedy referenced. Your former mayor in Boston, my former mayor, Marty Walsh, loomed large in those discussions. And there have been questions about whether, as I mentioned, this acting secretary should get involved. But when you talk to Marty Walsh and others who've had experience as labor leaders, what do they tell you will unlock a deal?
Well, we know what's going to unlock the deal. I mean, we're not banking on the government's opinion or anything else. We know, and the company knows, what needs to happen. They need to raise the starting rate of pay for part-timers. They need to reward the long-term part-timers. They need to reward all their employees. Think about this. When this country came to a halt through the pandemic, there was one workforce that was providing goods and services and not reaping the benefits. I mean, UPS made record profits, $100 billion. They have to reward the people that made them a success. And we can't focus on projections or lack of volume. Let's focus on what this workforce has delivered for UPS. And look, UPS has been giving out record dividends, stock buybacks. Give that to the people that truly deserve it. Give it to Main Street, not Wall Street.
So on the subject of UPS management, who do you have a direct line to? Have you spoken directly with Mrs. Toomey about this?
Early on, when we started talking, probably about a year ago, I had a one-on-one meeting with her just to discuss nothing in general, just an introduction. I deal with the high labor managers there who are direct reports to Mrs. Tomei.
Are they credible actors?
I thought they were.
You don't today?
Well, you know, what they say and what they do are two different things, and I guess that's part of negotiations. But one thing the Teamsters have been, we've been transparent, we've stated our intentions all along, and we've stayed the course.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here today. That is Sean O'Brien, the general president of Teamsters. And we should note we have invited UPS to come on this program. Coming up, we'll have much more on Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen's visit to China and the effects for the U.S. business.